Morning, everyone. This is the Tuesday, December 6th, Jupyter IPython dev meeting. We have a smaller than usual crowd because there's a Jupyter Days going on in Paris today, and a bunch of people are there. So, yeah, why don't we go ahead? Jamie, do you want to keep us on track?
Sure, absolutely. Good morning. So last week, we put most of our efforts into the annual report for the Sloan Foundation, and we can copy that over into the More Foundation report in a few months as well. So that's been submitted. Thanks, everyone, for your contributions. It's really helpful to have all that material to work with. This week, I'll be focusing back on some of the dev meeting action items that we agreed on. So trying to come to some consensus on the next meeting note format. So getting out a hack pad and looking at some of the tools that we explored during the dev meeting. I'll also be preparing for a talk and a demo that I'm giving at Bloomberg for PyLadies. So it's the PyLadies event at Bloomberg on December 13th. And a number of Jupyter folks here at Berkeley are going to attend. So Fernando and just Hamrick and Carol, and I'm not sure who else, but you're welcome to come. I can post the link in the chat when I'm finished with my update. Let's see. I've just been going through some old HackPad notes. I really liked what Carol's doing with her Jupyter Hub highlights for the week. So I posted a link here in the December HackPad to circle back. And I encourage people to take a look at this, especially team leads who are trying to figure out ways to combine all the different work that's going on with your sub projects. You can drop it in GitHub, and maybe if we all have a standardized way of doing this, we can actually figure out a way to automate the feed into a single document each week. I don't know, just an idea. Carol, you got me thinking on that. So finally, another action item from the Dev Week was, or project meeting was, and I talked about this last week, doing some sort of tutorial or a series of tutorials for topics within our team that folks have been interested in learning more about. So last week, Min and Carol agreed to do something sometime in January, and I would love for Jason and Grant and Brian and other folks who have put together kind of project management tools or workflows to give a tutorial. So I'm working with them on figuring out a date for that. So that's one open item. Okay, that's all I have. Looks like the next person on the list is.
I just wanted to reiterate my thanks to the whole team for the help with the grant reports. Brian, that same material can be used by Brian. Given the structure that we used, will also be used by Brian for the Helpsley Foundation. So basically, we're able to kind of knock out with one single effort and small amounts of fine tuning our reporting for our 3 funding agencies, which is great. And it was really much better to have everyone's help. One thing that I would like to do, I'll probably do it in the next few days, is I'll basically hollow out the content, but keep the outline of the report we worked on and make a copy of it. And what I'd like to see is that as time goes on, we basically drop material. Anyone can drop material into it as time goes by. And because I've done that in the past, where I keep a little file and as I see things that are kind of relevant to the project, I drop a link into this file, and that file is very useful. Has been useful in the past to help me basically assemble these reports, because at least I have a bunch of things that I picked up along the way. But it'll be even better if, instead of me doing that on my own and then scrambling at the last minute, or asking you all to scramble in the last few days, we all do that along the year and just drop little items. And if it's in education, if it's in this, if it's in that, we can drop it. They don't have to be super polished, just a link in a couple of sentences. But that goes a long way to then helping at the very end. We can go back to those links, polish the writing, and then we're basically 80 or 90% of the way there. So I'd like to do that. It was really, really great to have more team support on this time. And so I think we can even streamline that further for the next one, which will be due, the next big one, which will be due in about a year.
Cool. Thanks. So Notebook is the next sub-project on the list, and we have Grant, Matthias, and Thomas on this. Matthias, do you have anything you'd like to share on Notebook?
I think the only thing that should be probably one of the last remaining issue for 4.3, and we need to find some time to review it, fix it, and get 4.3 out. Grant sent a mail to a few of us yesterday to remind us of that, and we just need to find the time to finish that.
All right.
Great. Congratulations, guys. Thanks so much for pushing on that.
All right. Looks like Steve, you're next on Jupyter Lab.
Okay. We released 0.11.2. The main feature there was more handling of the session state. So if you refresh the page, most of what was there is still there, and the activity you were currently on should be the currently highlighted activity as well. So Darian's put a lot of work into that, and it seems to be working really well. The abstract editor has been a long-standing request from the RBrain folks. We finally got that merged, an agreement on what that should look like. And there's also an open PR from them to add Monaco support. So it looks like we might be actually getting that pretty soon. So that's exciting. That's the editor that's in Visual Studio Code, the open source editor from Microsoft. Should be a lot more fully featured than CodeMirror that we're currently using. And then other than that, just clean up, paying out the technical debt that we had, refactoring, writing tests that were not there before, and hitting those beta issues, trying to get that hopefully by the end of January, tentatively get beta out the door. And that's it.
Thanks for the state management work, Steve. I've been seeing it because I've been running off of master, so I've been already incrementally seeing the benefits of that as it landed, and it really makes a big difference. I was really pleasantly surprised when I first saw it happen. I was like, oh, this is so much nicer. So yeah, great job.
Yeah, and we have a plan for handling the actual layout of where things were.
Sure.
Just haven't gotten that far yet.
But even just getting the pieces back in place already makes a humongous difference. Even if the layout is lost, at least having all the components in place makes a humongous user experience difference.
Great.
Cool. All right. Next is Jupyter Hub. Carol.
We're really happy to say that last week Jupyter Hub 0.7 went out. There's a link to the changelog in the hackpad, and also messages went out to the different mailing lists. So far, it's been pretty quiet. So people are either probably still getting their deployments upgraded and whatnot, and we are working on upgrading the reference deployments and as well as the tutorial. So probably in January when we do the thing for the team, it'll have some of the new API stuff and services in that tutorial as well. And then the other big thing that we've been working on this week was supporting getting NBDime to beta. And it's actually looking really good. So if people want to try it out for diffing and merging and play around with it, the instructions are in the documentation and in the repo. And I think the first release will be imminent. And that's all I have.
Congrats on the release, Carol. This is wonderful, and I would imagine I'm not too surprised with the more the quieter uptake of this, because given that Hub is kind of it's a deployed thing more than a personal single user thing, there's always a slower cycle for people to test and adopt, and they have to put it on a test instance somewhere. So I'm not too surprised, but it's great to see this. I have a quick question on NBDime. Have you done anything on NBDime, kind of exposing the experience of NBDime within Hub, or are you for now just letting them be completely independent and thinking about that for later? Kind of I was thinking using the services machinery, how to best bring that into a smooth experience for the users. But if you haven't thought about that yet, that's fine. This is just kind of a spaghetti at the wall question.
Yeah, I haven't personally thought about it, but I know there's a lot of fluid movement within the project. So I suspect that there is an API component, so I think it will work nicely with services, but it's still a story yet to be told.
No, I know it's a bit unfair to ask a question like that out of 0.1 beta.
Hey, it's looking really good though.
We lost your voice, Carol.
I said it's looking really good, so check it out. And feedback is appreciated because from a usability standpoint, there's still some things moving on the merge tool and things like that. So.
All right, awesome. Thanks for sharing, Carol. Cool stuff. Let's see, I think next on the list, we had Nick. You said you didn't have a lot to share, but you pushed some Docker stuff. You want to go into any detail on the stuff?
Sure, yeah, just trying to do, at least from base notebook, try and get something like a representative and not too special install of R, and then also of what do we do about, right now our standard images all ship with Conda, but if we're still going to say that we support pip and like that. But yeah, it's up there yet. There's a Travis file. It doesn't do anything yet. Haven't set up the matrix properly. Not updating the matrix based on the things that we found, but the structure is kind of emerging as to what it looks like. So yeah, I don't know. That's about all there. Sorry.
Nick, quick question: is the Jupyter kernels repo where we should point people to this? There were some folks in the past who had expressed interest in perhaps helping with this, and so now that this is beginning to take shape, I wanted to point them to it. Should I point them to the Jupyter/kernels repo?
Yeah. I mean, the issues are legit on there. It's just there aren't any PRs yet, so it's
perfect.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Nick. Here. So next on our list, I have IPyWidgets with Jason in parentheses, but I'm not seeing Jason on the call. Is there anyone who would like to speak for Jason? Oh, you're here.
Yes.
You magically appeared. Okay. Hi.
Hi. So lots of work on IPyWidgets, pushing towards a 6.x release. Tons of little things tracked down, widgets overhauled, beta releases, etc. You can look at the pulse on the project to see, a dozen or so pull requests, etc. I think we're looking a lot closer to IPyWidget 6. Sylvan did a lot of work with getting widgets to work in documentation, etc. I've been tracking down minor issues here and there. So progress towards 6x.
Can you say something quickly, Jason? Because I didn't look at the widgets and documentation. How does are these for client-side only widgets, or are you doing anything?
Yeah.
Anything about caching kernel side?
No, it's a Sphinx. It's a Sphinx extension that I think caches the state to the client side and then reconstructs the widgets on the client side. And so things like the JS link widget will let you hook widgets up on the client side, but it doesn't involve a kernel state that is actively maintained. No,
but do you mean it does cache kernel side computations if they were made in advance, or not?
My understanding is what it does is it takes the current state and saves that, and then reconstructs the widget from the saved state. It doesn't cache like if you do an interact and you have several different images that are generated. It doesn't cache results of computations, just the current state.
Okay,
that's my understanding.
Yeah, it's not the memoizing stuff that we've discussed in the past.
That's right. That's correct.
Thanks, Jason.
Yep, thanks.
Sure. All right, so we have two sections with Mike, your name on them. The PyCon talk proposal and NB convert update.
I'm gonna start with NB convert and actually the last issue on NB convert because it's directly related to what Jason was just talking about, and I fear that he may have just left. But I was wondering.
I'm still listening.
Oh, okay.
I'm just releasing a new IPyWidgets beta at the same time.
All right, no worries. So in terms of the widgets, Sylvan opened an issue, and sorry, my cat is trying to get in the video. But
we like cats.
Fair enough. Okay, sorry. So Sylvan opened an issue to represent the widget views and states as custom MIME types in at least the HTML exporter for NB convert. what is supposed to be accomplished with that? Like I tried to meet the spec that he had opened the issue with, but it would help me to know like what the like intended behavior is, especially for other output formats that say aren't interactive like HTML.
Yeah, I should let him to speak to that, but my guess is, at least for HTML, that the widgets can be reconstructed like the Sphinx extension is doing for docs. I agree, it doesn't make much sense for a PDF or something like that.
And is the model ID enough to accomplish that? Because that's all that I'm currently grabbing.
I believe he's okay. Yeah, no, the model ID is not enough. You
Okay.
need the widget state stuff that he may be storing as well. I haven't looked at the PR.
Okay.
But that's about what's happening.
If you could give any comments that you have, they're very welcome.
Is Sylvan commenting on the PR? I know he's busy with Paris.
Yesterday, so
okay.
I just had put in extra effort yesterday because it sounded like it was important for you guys to get your like full testing like workflow done for all of the like. Also, if you wanted, I know that this was actively being worked on, and if you wanted to change the API or something like that, I wanted to give you feedback immediately.
Really appreciate that. Yeah, Sylvan's been taking really the lead on the static storage of widgets.
Okay, sounds good. Then I'll wait to hear from him.
Okay.
All right, and then I'll just continue with NB convert stuff. So Thomas in the notes had asked for a 5.0 release. I'm interested in doing that. However, some of the things that we have in the pipeline right now are notebook breaking, like the changing in the way that we handle header IDs, especially automated header IDs, is if we're going to do it properly, or properly as in the parts of the Pandoc approach to it that are more or less just ensuring that you have a valid ID, then that's going to break some people's links. Currently, they're cross-references. We also aren't doing a bunch of other things. And I was kind of thinking of holding off on a major release, since major releases are when we as a project issue breaking things, until that was all settled.
Is there an issue open? Because that's probably too detailed.
There are a bunch of issues open.
Okay.
I was actually considering making this into a GitHub project of its own, like as a different way to approach the GitHub projects as something other than just release managers, but actually feature managers, and trying to put together all of the separate issues that are arising having to do with these header links and more generally the EPUB exporter and whatnot, which isn't a release per se, but is a nice way to organize everything and shouldn't be given its own like label.
Okay.
So,
it seems like there's a bunch of kind of detailed stuff that is too in the weeds to discuss here in the bigger meeting, but we can try to work on it on those issues. Maybe if you could maybe add to the NB convert section a link, just the numbers of the most relevant issues there, so we have them for reference. And we
sure.
can try to
I will make a note for myself to do that, since right now I'm going to continue to talk about the other things. So one of the other questions about release stuff is how good we want do we want to release a good EPUB exporter, or do we want to release an EPUB exporter that matches our current PDF capabilities? In which case, that's actually pretty easy, because the things that are missing are the same things that are missing in PDF.
I would say that's enough. Just put a note in the release notes stating that fact, because we don't really know how widely used and popular the EPUB is going to be. If it turns out that we get a lot of feedback and there's a lot of interest in it, then it's worth putting extra cycles into finishing and polishing it. If we get the sound of crickets because it turns out that nobody cares about EPUB, then we don't need to burn a lot of cycles into it. So I would, if it matches what we do on PDF, that's already useful. And just add a note in the release notes saying these are the current limitations, and that's it. Keep it MVP. Remember, just release early, release often, and let the user community give us feedback on how much work is really warranted there.
Okay. Okay, so that makes sense. I did have a more general question, like with regards to releases, what is the minimum amount of time between one major release and the other that we generally approach as a project? If
we follow semantic versioning, major release numbers are really about change breaking, about API breaking changes. So it's really much more driven by that. You could imagine there being a fairly long time between them, or if we realize that we do have an absolutely burning need to introduce one such change, that could come more quickly. Obviously, you don't want to be, just for the sake of a community, you don't want to be introducing major number changes from a SEMVer perspective every 3 weeks, because that will just drive everybody up the wall in terms of instability. But it really should be driven by the SEMVer kind of mindset rather than by time, I think. But
okay.
Others may disagree.
The reason why in this case is because we could do a 5.0 release like today. We could incorporate the EPUB into it, or we could wait until all of these issues are finished that are going to be breaking, because we're going to want to do 6.0 with that if we were going to
that's
first release the 5.0.
Let's have a look on the issues, because that's more of a in the weeds discussion that we want to have here with kind of everyone hovering around.
Oh, okay. And then
for the sake of people's time.
Fair enough. So then in terms of the PyCon talk proposal, we're just continuing to edit it, write more content, and move forward on that. I don't know if others, Matthias or Thomas, if you had any comments about it.
No comment.
Okay, then I'm good to go.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Good update. Let's see. I think that's the end of the list for people who are actually here. I have MimeRender with Grant, the cookie cutter thing. He says it's ready for public consumption. So you guys can take a look here at the HackPad, generate a single Python package with both an MB extension and lab extension. And then he has some examples below. And Sam Penrose, who's been joining us from Mozilla, he's not here today, so I'm just gonna take him off the bottom there, and he can join us next week. Great. All right, Chris, I see you're here on the call. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Oh, just spectating.
Just lurking. All right. Nice to have you here. Anyone else have anything they'd like to add?
Just a quick thank you for those that got the PyCon tutorial proposal in under the deadline. Much appreciated.
Cool. Way to go. All right, Fernando, anything else for the team?
Good? Nothing on my side. Thanks, everyone.
Okay. Ian?
No, I'm good.
Okay. All right, great. Thanks, everyone. Have a great week. We'll catch you next Tuesday. Bye.